What's going on, guys? Markie from the YouTube channel, online certification course. Here we're going to give a rundown in regards to this whole new gig economy and who is gigging. More after the intro. The gig economy first exploded on the scene during the Great Recession. A lot of people was laid off, fired, so forth. Companies were closing down. So people took to the streets, not just with one skill set in hand, but multiple skill sets. Whether they were a mechanic, electrician, carpenter back then, they did multiple jobs to get that money, right? So you're going to go ahead and fast forward yourselves to 2021. With the whole labor shortage going on and so forth, in which I personally think a lot of companies shot themselves in the foot in regards to letting everyone go and so forth just to stay above water to keep themselves in business. And even then, when the smoke cleared a little bit, they started looking back for these workers to bring them back in, and they pretty much was nowhere to be found. So, the labor shortage began. So through unemployment and the stimulus package and so forth people were getting, they had that source of income that was coming in pretty good. In the meantime, with the downtime, a lot of people starting their own businesses, online businesses, and with the remote working that was going on, a lot of people was working remotely with other jobs, companies that not only in their state, but out of state. So pretty much from there, the gig economy started getting up and popping. Of course, with all the Uber drivers, food deliveries, and so forth, it was hard to get these employees back into that building. So pretty much they say what's the gigging job is and how does you go about doing so. It's pretty simple. There's nothing complicated about it. Like 49% of people that's under 35 are actually doing it and actually making some money out of it. So you pretty much go to a company, if you installation and so forth, you go ahead and sign a contract with them. It's like you're a contractor, freelancing. It's just gigging. So go ahead and get the offer on the table and so forth, you're up and running, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year project. But the cool thing about it, you can do multiple jobs. You can work doing something, installation. You can also have an Uber driving job, delivery job, food delivery, and so forth. So certainly there's pros and cons to it. Legislator trying to figure out to define what's an employee is, of course, trying to put their 2 cents into it. But also, the benefits the employer don't have to kick out. And to be freelancing or being a contractor is good to find out if HR is going to back you up with any scenarios that may go on while you're on this project. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of pros and cons with this. But with the whole gig economy and with the companies, they should be more open-minded to that if they want to stay afloat. So some companies have no other choice but to do so in order for them to stay in business, is to hire these people, contract them out, and so forth. And along with the flexibility and the freedom to have as being a gig worker, you can schedule. People think, I could work 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, but really, you have a lot of resources, and just to get out there, the money is endless. You could get top dollar for a short period of time and keep it moving. Of course, keeping the work-life balance up and running. And also, companies have to understand that these guys that are contractors, freelancers, that are gigging out there, they have accolades. They're certified. When I say certified, they're getting recommendations and so forth. They're coming through the door with references of prior work that they've done. So you got to keep that in mind also, because a lot of companies and management and so forth is like, we can't control them. Get them there, let them know what the project is going to be about, send them on their merry way. You have to understand, a lot of companies, managers, supervisors, and so forth, they like looking over your shoulder, checking your lunch breaks, your smoke breaks, and so forth. Did you come in late? Being a gig worker, you come and go as you please. Pretty much, bosses may say, he only came in for 3 hours and left for the rest of the day. I'm not paying him. It's contract work. It doesn't matter if you work 30 minutes every day for a month. Long the project is done. And that's what supervisors and management have to understand in this whole new world going forward. You're not really needed. So you pretty much got to put them to the side. So all that extra fluff and buff in between it, get rid of them. Let these cats come in, these gig workers, these contractors, get them in there, see their accolades, see their references, and for them to go ahead and simply say, hey, I can get the job done for you, all right? And keep it moving. There is many other jobs, in the gig economy and people freelancing and so forth. So besides working on companies' projects and so forth and working up under a roof of a company, like I mentioned before, you got the Uber, food delivery. You got people that put bikes together, assemble furniture, car detailing right there at you don't have to move your car. They come to you and do it all. Over 20 years ago, I used to work in a grocery hauler warehouse, and there was these two guys on a forklift, and they was loading and offloading trailers like their life depended on it. And I'm like, what's going on, guys? Were they paying you $100 an hour or something? And they were like, yeah, pretty much. So they were explaining to me, they had their own forklifts, they had their flatbed that came in, they offloaded their forklifts, and they were paid contractors, freelancers that go in there and tear these trailers apart, offloading and loading them up. So he was mentioning that if their bid is 10, 12-hour work days or whatever. So they say, I go offload 3 trucks in 12 hours. So if they could get them 3 trucks offloaded in 2 hours, they still get paid that contract agreement of 12 hours, even though they got it done in 2 to 3 hours. I said, damn. And that was 20 years ago. So just imagine what you could actually do if you find that little small niche as being a gig worker. So that's something to think about. But for the companies that are out there with the stiff upper lip and so forth, and you got managers, assistant managers, supervisors, supervisor assistants, you got 4 or 5 people eating up a lot of profit just to watch a couple individuals or 5 people team. So also think about that, which they should have been making that cut prior to the backbone of a company, which is a warehouse, which I always mention. So what if companies still don't want to do the whole gig economy, gig worker and so forth? Well, it's simple, they pretty much going to be closing up shop. So for small business owners, large companies and so forth, you have to understand, you got to ask yourself, what does young people really want in their career? And once again, I mentioned freedom and flexibility. Of course, the work-life balance, a little remote working if possible. Also, move in that direction. So you have to understand that, people have been working for your company for 20, 30, 35 years and so forth. They antiquated dinosaurs. They about to retire. You got some fresh legs coming into that company, and you still can't have those antiquated ways from 30 years ago, because they coming in voicing their opinion. They're using HR to the extreme. And think about it, as you being a boss, supervisor, manager, they're going to challenge you now. You may tell them, delegate something to them, and they're going to raise their hand and say, it's easier, just do it this way. Well, you going to get upset and fire them? You got to think, if you're willing to survive in this company going forward. So as I mentioned before, and I'm going to still mention it again, freedom and flexibility go a long way in a company, and plus you get more productivity, you retain your employers and such if you don't want to go the gig route. So keep that in mind. So you got to think outside the box, way outside the box right about now. Do you want to pile everyone, 20, 30 people up into a conference room to have a meeting versus it's still taking an hour or 2 away from them being productive at their desk? Or have a team chat, just zoom in on a teleconference and have your meeting while they still working. Think way outside the box, fellas. Many thanks for taking some time out to check this tutorial out. Gonna be some links down below to help you guys be a better manager and so forth, all right? Make sure you like, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you're trying to get certified in. I can personally send you a link to check out. Many thanks once again. It's Markie Williams, and I'm out. Oh, make sure you go ahead and check these thumbnails up above. That might be something you like, and I'll catch you on the next tutorial.